Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross from PTCGRadio, and we have made it to the Masters final of the UK Trading Card Game National Championships of 2015, featuring the lovely Alex Dao and the equally lovely Coach Trip Oliver Fennelly playing a Seismitoad Shaymin mirror match, which if you've been watching the stream and listening to the stream so far, either you watched it in person or you've been watching it on my YouTube channel, you will know that this was potentially an inevitability. It's a cracking game, and I will give you my usual warning, of course, that this was recorded as part of a live stream, so you'll have to forgive references to tweeting in, etc. It's not exactly like my previous YouTube videos. I would also encourage you to stay around as we're back to the Masters now. We do have an interview with both the winner and the runner-up at the end of this video, which is very, very much worth listening to. And actually, if you want the full story of what went on in this game, a little bit cryptic, you'll see when you listen, you will have to stick around for the interview at the end. So sit back and listen. Thank you very much for watching this stream. Make sure that you like, subscribe and all of that. And if you haven't checked out the previous games, there are links in the description. After this, I will be back with some League Challenge games very shortly indeed.
Right, welcome back, guys. We're here, the Masters final of the TCG. We have Alex Dao versus Oliver Fennelly, and it's going to be an interesting match, as both players are playing the exact same 60-card list, I believe. So I believe that Ollie won the flip and will be going first. We see an Ultra Ball here.
My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I am here too. Thank you to Tom Hall for joining us once again for the Masters final. He did such a sterling job, we've asked him to come back. And he is correct. We have an exact 60-card mirror, which means we can have a deck list each when we have a look through this.
It's always nice not to have to fight over the deck lists.
So,
perfect.
We're both seeing Seismitoad list. Now, Ollie, you say Ollie's won the flip and is going first.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't want to go second. I don't see why you want to go second.
Well, actually, a lot of Toad players, I've been talking to a lot of Toad players this weekend, and the conventional wisdom I've been getting from them essentially is they like going second because you can basically reverse everything they've done and then get the first Quaking Punch. So you go second and you can get out of any laser they've done to you, get rid of their energy, put a, get rid of their muscle band, stick on a head ring, and then you get the first Quaking Punch, and they can't reverse anything you've done.
It's a fair point. Fair point. To be fair though, opening first does have its advantages, but Alex opening Jirachi here might not even be bad for him because it means that Ollie can play down his Headringers and other disruption cards, but Headringer has no real effect on Jirachi in this matchup. So
absolutely. Had Alex started Seismitoad, like you say, Ollie would now be able to just stick a Headringer on. That would be really annoying. One card which is absolutely crucial going first here is, I don't know if you noticed, they each play one Getsis.
Oh my word, one Getsis. Oh my word.
It's not a supporter we see very often. It's a supporter which forces your opponent to shuffle all of their item cards back into their deck, and you draw as many cards as they shuffle in. And of course, let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that these Toad decks play a huge amount of items. So you can completely cripple your opponent. So we see the laser flip there, it's a head, it's probably going to be irrelevant. It's going to be scooped up before it dies. And they've turned it the wrong way. There we go. Sleep goes left because it's got the L, and Paralyzed goes right because it's got the R.
Thanks for that, Ross.
We went through this yesterday.
You didn't? Well, I wasn't around, but I'm sure you must have gone over this before.
Now, Ollie, again, he's done that thing where he's attached the DCE on turn 1, which I'm not a huge fan of. He only plays 4 DCE. He may have 1 or 2 prized. And I would be surprised if Alex didn't get rid of it. He's not trainer locked. Crushing Hammer, Enhanced Hammer, and that's if he doesn't, he could even use something like a Xerasic here. If I'm Ollie, I don't play that DCE because honestly, I am not expecting it to be there at the end of my turn.
There only are 4 energy in the entire deck, so unless he's got another one in his hand and he's fairly sure that Alex isn't going to M, or to be honest, there's a very low, as they probably both know each other's lists. These guys are fairly friendly with each other. I guess they must test with each other because
they are best
written
friends
on the same piece of paper. So.
Yeah, they are best friends who made the list together. It is literally a list that they devised as a couple. Just a friendly couple, but regardless, it is the two of them, and it's very much their list. So, yeah, quite frankly, they know exactly what's going on. And I can tell you that Alex was sitting there during that last turn just hoping that Ollie didn't play the Getsis. He really didn't want that to happen. And of course, you know, they're both playing a Jirachi, they're both playing 4 Ultra Ball, and we've seen how fast these decks are. You can afford to play a single copy of Getsis and have a reasonable expectation that you're going to draw into it and have it available to use on the first turn of the game. It's quite easy to get that out and rolling.
Do they both run a Mewtwo EX?
They both run a single Mewtwo EX.
Interesting. That's a very unusual addition.
I mean, I've been talking to these boys all weekend. I would consider them both at least acquaintances, if not chums. And
I would say they were chums more so than acquaintances.
Yeah, they're good chaps.
Yeah, it's good chaps.
It's for Groudon. And this is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a great plan. But as we've seen on the stream this weekend, if a Primal Groudon... We saw it in the Juniors final.
Exactly.
If a Primal Groudon comes out against Seismitoad, you lose. Mewtwo can easily 2-hit KO Primal Groudon. So essentially, you hit the Groudon, accept that it's going to be KO'd, trump card it back in, get it back out again, get a second hit with the same Mewtwo. Hard to do, but let's bear in mind, these decks are so fast that you can use trump card and then draw loads and loads of cards.
Exactly.
And it allows you to 2-hit KO a Groudon, and if you can do that fast enough, they can't get a second Groudon going again. And that's bearing, you know, you're going to have a couple of early prizes while they're setting up. You're going to kill a couple of Wobbuffets or whatever they've chucked active. Most of the best decks won't seem to be Wobbuffet. So it's not an amazing plan, but it's a plan, and that's basically the reason. It's a nice kind of little tech attacker. I mean, I did see it was an excellent play from Alex in his top 4 game. They went to time, and he fails a Super Scoop up there, so that Jirachi is staying. He went to time against a Virizion Genesect list, and the same one we featured on the final round of stream yesterday. And essentially what happened was that he just attached a DCE to Mewtwo, and ended them both to 1 when they were in sudden death. And Mewtwo's a brilliant attacker when you've just got a DCE on him and your opponent's got nothing. But
I agree.
It really is niche situations like that.
So now we see a DCE from Alex. Is he going to get this Jirachi out of the active spot? That is the question. There's a Scoop Up Cyclone. Both players are opting for Scoop Up Cyclone as opposed to any other ace spec. Interesting choice. I really do. I'm a massive fan of the 3 Super Scoop Up with the Scoop Up Cyclone, because as a lot of high level players, when they're building decks, everyone loves that 61st card option. If you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Like everyone wants that 61st card if they could place it's a 61st card, and the way that both players are playing 1 Scoop Up Cyclone and 3 Super Scoop Up, instead of playing 4 Super Scoop Up and an ace spec, they've incorporated their ace spec into the Super Scoop Up line that they're running.
Yes.
Which frees up them another additional deck slot for whatever card they want, as well as having their ace spec, whereas opposed to having to run 4 Super Scoop Ups as well as their ace spec, such as Computer Search. So it's what we saw from the other Seismitoad Shaymin in the Juniors final, I believe.
Absolutely, and it was when, I mean, all the Masters we've seen on the stream this weekend, they've all gone for Scoop Up Cyclone. That really has been the... it's been an ace spec of choice for everyone this weekend, which is slightly I get it. I thought there would have been a bit more love for Computer Search, especially with I can only play 4 DCE and that's all the energy I'm going for, and for, you know, how crucial cards like, for instance, you know, your Team Flare Grunt can be if you get against a Virizion Genesect. But, you know, Scoop Up is such a strong card.
I feel that it's interesting. With Computer Search, it allows you to search any card in your deck. Discard 2 cards, search for any card.
Absolutely.
Which is a search card. It's a very good card. It lets you search for any card in your deck. Very good. However, it doesn't actually have any effect on your opponent. It doesn't do anything to change the game state necessarily. You can only search for something inside of your deck that you're already playing.
Yes.
Whereas Scoop Up Cyclone, that's an ace spec that has no other real alternative. It's a very niche in a way, because you can scoop things off the field, but it actually does. It has functionality to it. It actually does something that can change game state to a very large degree. Such is that Getsus we just saw, or was that just discarded?
I think... Ooh. I didn't see exactly what happened there. I missed it just for a second.
You blink and then you miss it. That's what happens to these Seismitoad Shaymins. It's the Shaymin mirror matches.
I think what's more important here is the fact that Alex is really just taking control of this. He's got the muscle band, and the card he really wanted, he got the head ringer. He's got the head ringer on the Seismitoad, and
that's huge. Absolutely huge. Both players don't play any basic energy. It's just double colourless. That's the only energy they play in their deck list. 4 double colourless energy, both players. So it means they have to commit two double colourless on each Seismitoad.
Just to get the Quaking Punch going.
And no muscle band potential, which means it's limiting at 30 damage. So that Seismitoad is almost a write-off. Ollie wants to just get another Seismitoad in play at this point, rather than having to put 2 energy onto that Seismitoad.
Indeed, and he's going to run into problems here, because, okay, he saves a Shaymin. He's trainer locked. There's no Super Scoop Up or Scoop Up Cyclone.
That is a problem.
And nothing in his deck has free retreat. So sooner or later, he's going to have to let something die just to get a Seismitoad in the active, or he's going to have to bench a Seismitoad, attack with Shaymin to get the Toad in the active, which opens it up to a Hypnotoxic Laser, Head Ringer, etc., etc. It's a very, very vulnerable position.
Yeah, it looks not very good for Ollie right now, especially the trainer lock is... The one advantage that Ollie may have is that Alex has played all of his Shaymins down, and if Ollie can get off a trainer lock in the next couple of turns before Alex manages to scoop all of these guys off the field, then... Because he did just discard 2 super scoop ups.
He did. So, I mean, he's clearly going for a trump card in the next couple of turns, because you're right. He's not drawing into a Shaymin, and he's used the super scoop ups. So if a trainer lock can come down, then he is in a position where he could potentially just almost leave Alex unable to draw any more cards and start to take a bit of a lead here.
However, we just did see, I think that was a Lysander on the Seismitoad there.
That was indeed. So, Ollie's got his own one bringing up...
Just trying to... I think he's desperately trying to break this lock and hoping that he doesn't have the energy to retreat.
Absolutely.
Or even a super scoop up, because he did just discard 2.
He did. He just Ultra Balled a pair of them away. So... If Alex can't get that Seismitoad out the active, Ollie needs to act fast. I like that he hasn't yet benched a second Seismitoad. All that's going to do is allow Alex to put a head ringer or something else on. Ollie gets no advantage from benching a second Seismitoad here. It just allows Alex to screw him over. What he needs to do is wait and try and bench a Seismitoad.
I was going to just say the AZ would be another out that Alex hasn't utilised yet. I just noticed it on the deck list, actually.
Ollie scooped.
Oh, yeah.
Straight away.
That AZ just ends it, really.
Ollie was never going to win that game. The problem was, Alex had all of his tricks. Alex had the head ringer, and Alex had access to lasers. Ollie, the absolute best he could hope for was one of 2 things. Either bench a Toad, wait for whatever's in the active to die, and hope it hasn't been head ringed, etc. Or... drag something of Alex's active, hope he doesn't hit a super scoop up, cyclone, AZ, or even an energy to retreat, and then go off like a rocket when that happens. But the chances of Alex not being able to get the Shaymin out of the active are so slim, it's not worth Ollie's time. These games can take a long time. It's better to just cut your losses and go to game 2.
Well, that's what we were discussing, with the juniors final that we were talking about earlier, was saying that that you should concede when you realise you can't win a game, or you're in a losing situation, you're in a timed environment, 60 minutes to play, best 2 out of 3. Ollie's clearly realised that game's a write-off, even though no prizes were taken. Am I correct? I don't think any prizes were taken.
No, I don't think he actually took a single prize.
He just scooped the game on both of them, still on 6 prizes, but he knew that if he played this out, it was either he didn't have anything in his hand, or if he played it out, it was just going to be an agonising, slow loss, pretty much.
There is only one situation in which you want to take a slow loss in game 1, and that's where you've got a hideous matchup. Because if you've got a hideous matchup, then one of the times, basically the only way you can win a lot of the time is a really slow game 1, and then a fluky quick win in game 2, and just hope game 3 doesn't finish and you go to a tie. That's essentially, and that will only be in Swiss, obviously. In Top Cut, you'd have to try and get a quick prize advantage and win the game 3 that way. But, outside of that very niche situation, Coach Trip Fennelly. I did have a chat with Ollie about this yesterday. It turns out his episodes of Coach Trip are not currently available to watch on 4OD, but I'm told in the near future they are going to go back on 4OD. Hopefully when we get Ollie back in, he can give us more details about which episodes to watch. Watch Ollie standing in a corner. I enjoyed those Coach Trip. I really did.
I have to say, I I do like Coach Trip.
I hate Coach Trip.
Guilty pleasure, man. Guilty pleasure. You've got to like Coach Trip.
No, I don't like... I watched one episode without Ollie in, because I thought they brought in new people at the end. Turns out they don't.
Yeah.
I watched the whole episode and then it ended. I'm not getting that 25 minutes back. So the weird thing is, often we'd get to the end of game one and then the discussion would turn to, right, what can this other player do? And the answer is they're playing the same 60 cards.
They know each other's deck list, which is huge. I think that's going to... I mean, that's why Oliver probably lysandered against Alex. Is literally last attempt is like, because he doesn't play any switch cards or float stones, either player. So he's literally banking on the not having the AZ or a DCE. And that was literally his last gambit, last hurrah, as it were. But and as you saw, as soon as he had the AZ, he immediately scooped, which is the correct play. Ollie hasn't done anything wrong. It's just Seismitoad Mirror is...
It's a complete crapshoot.
Oh, yeah, well, that's one way of saying it. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And that's not rude, by the way. I'm, of course, referring to the game Craps, just in case anyone's being juvenile out there. Now, interestingly, Alex going second that last game really helped him.
You were right, I have to say. It was fortunate he opened with Jirachi, I have to say. I think it was
really worked out nicely.
It sounds mad, and no one ever wants a Jirachi start normally, but in the Seismitoad Mirror match, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It could be worse. I mean,
it's not going to die on turn one of the game, and you've got so many scooping cards that you're just going to save it so easily.
And putting a head ringer on it is totally irrelevant. Yeah. So it might almost be stronger opening with either a Shaymin or a Jirachi than it is with a Seismitoad in the mirror match.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you entirely. Ollie needed to get this last game. If he goes first now, if I were Ollie here. Now, you do actually get to, if I remember correctly, and there are judges here who can hopefully tell me if I'm wrong, but in Game 2, you are allowed to look at your hand before you choose whether you go first or second.
I don't think so.
No, that's actually not correct. Now, I'm being told, just like in the flip, it's a completely fair choice. So just like you have to flip before you see what you're drawing, it is apparently the same thing here. You have to make the choice before you look at your hand.
Which is probably why Ollie opted to go first. Ollie opted to go first after he won the flip, I think.
I wasn't here at that time. I was still making my way in.
I think he won the flip. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong, and Alex won the flip and opted to go second. But I do believe that Ollie did opt to go first. But you don't know what you're going to draw in your opening hand.
No, I mean, well, it comes down to what we've already said. If you go first and you hit the Getsis, then going first. And I was talking to a lot of Toad players, like, Tamal Cameron, who made top 32 yesterday, and these chaps. And the general consensus was, it's better to go first if you can hit the Getsis. It's better to go second if you don't play or cannot hit the Getsis.
It's actually an interesting start. He opens Swirlix. Now, in the first game we saw, neither player put a Swirlix on their bench. Now, the reason for that is because both players are only running a 1-1 line, which is very, very interesting, I think, because a lot of the Toad Puff decks that we saw before Roaring Skies and before Shaymin, 4-4 Slurpuff almost in every list.
Absolutely. I've just got to point out, Ollie did have the Jirachi and he's gone straight for the Getsis. Yeah,
he's not going to take any chances. I'm almost certain he'll go for the Getsis.
No, he has. He's already got the Getsis.
He's already got it. He's already got it out.
I want to see his hand. I want to see it in all its glory. Xerosic, AZ, Jirachi, Toad. Wow. Now, he's still getting 3-4, but he's got the Jirachi.
Which is huge, I feel. That means that...
Well, he's basically just going to Jirachi, presumably, just going to Jirachi for a Sycamore and go. Yeah, one would imagine that would be the play.
He could, imagine if he gets us him back.
He could Jirachi for a Getsis and just go right back at him.
Gets us back to back. Let's see it happen.
I do like the 1-1 Slurpuff line here.
I do quite like it too.
Partly... It allows you to play the 7-prize game. But another thing I really like about the 1-1 Slurpuff is, in the Toad mirror, he's got, and this is exactly what you were saying last game. He starts with a Toad, and he immediately gets head-ringered. Yeah. Now, he can hit a Super Scoop Up to get rid of it. He's going to have one turn to do that. But you're relying on hitting something like that.
He needs another Toad in the active spot, then. I mean, he needs another Toad on his bench to go to the active spot.
Well, he has got a Toad in his hand, so that's going to be okay in that respect.
Right, as we saw that from the Getsis, yeah, of course.
But the good thing about the 1-1 Slurpuff is, in these mirror matches, when you're both trainer locked, if that happens, we didn't see it last game, but if you get a double trainer lock going, no one's using Shaymin because your hand's full of junk trainers. Slurpuff just gives you that extra draw every turn, so that in the mirror, you're drawing more than your opponent is.
I think Ollie here is going to just get rid of all the item cards in his hand just to... He's preempting the fact that there's going to be a Quaking Punch next turn, as you would do.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to assume there's going to be a Quaking Punch. I wouldn't play the AZ if I was Alex, because he doesn't have the DCE in hand. If I was Alex, I would risk hitting the Scoop Up Cyclone Super Scoop Up.
Oh yeah, for real. In this situation.
Jirachi for the Sycamore.
Yeah, he needs to draw cards. I mean, after the Getsus, he's only got Seismitoad, Jirachi, and AZ in his hand. I think, isn't that his... Oh, and a Xerosic.
He's got a Xerosic, he's got an AZ, he's got a Jirachi and a Seismitoad.
That's literally his entire hand, so he has to draw something, unless he top decks a supporter.
No, well, if he top decks a DCE, I'm not terribly against him playing the AZ.
That's actually a safe. I think that's a very safe play. If he does miraculously top deck a DCE, then yeah, I feel that's safe because it removes the Headringer threat
and the poison now.
And the poison. So top deck DCE one time.
Doesn't look like he got it. I can't see what it is.
Oh, can I? Oh, I thought he was attaching it there. No, he's going for the Stellar Guidance here on the Jirachi EX, and we're going to see probably a Juniper, but I'm hoping for a Getsus, just because I want to see. We're definitely probably not going to see it though, because Ollie did thin a lot of the item cards out of his hand.
He's got like a hand of he's got a few cards in his hand. Yeah, he's gone straight for the Juniper, and it's got to be the correct play here. You don't really want to put a Jirachi on your bench, but in this matchup, he's going to end up with at least 2 Shaymin on his bench. Your bench is full of small, weak EXs that are just going to die quite quickly anyway. And actually, that extra 10 HP on Jirachi getting the 90 is key, because a laser Verbank Quaking Punch with a muscle band does 80, not 90.
He did top deck a Crushing Hammer, I believe, which
is
probably the deadest card he could have drawn.
Absolutely. And I don't think Ollie had a DCE there, but here comes a
laser, and it's a heads.
And now, if Alex can just hit Headringer Super Scoop Up, we've seen and DCE, of course. We've seen exactly what.
There's a DCE.
Acrobike.
Acrobike. And maybe do the Acrobike before committing to the attachment, just in case. Oh wow, you got the Verbank off that as well. That's quite nice. Oh, and the Shaymin.
No, I don't think that made any difference with the Acrobike.
Probably not. Now that he's doing the Shaymin, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
I think. I didn't realise the Shaymin was in his hand. Trainer's Mail. Oh, wow. He's going through a lot of his deck this turn. I'd be very surprised if he didn't hit the Scoop Up Cyclone.
He appears to have got nothing.
Nothing off the Trainer's Mail.
No, I mean, he might just have... You don't have to take anything off the Trainer's Mail. The contents of your deck is secret, so you can look at the top 4 cards of Trainer's Mail and just decide you don't want to take anything, even if there's something there, because otherwise you have to show your opponent. You give away what's in your deck. It's the same way you can use a Colress Machine, even if you've got 4 Plasma Energy in your discard, because... and he has just hit a Super Scoop Up off of the... What was that? Trainer...
I don't know if he did purposely fail the Trainer's Mail, just due to the fact that if he does get an item card out of the deck, it does thin the deck a bit, so he has a higher probability of drawing something that he can use in under Trainer Lock, and also the fact that you've got to bear in mind that both players know each other's deck lists.
Yes.
Which is not a common occurrence.
He's hit the heads on the Scoop Up. If he can hit a Headringer now, this is... Headringer Muscle Band is literally the perfect turn. And this is after a turn 1 gets this.
I don't think he even needs the Headringer, or... I mean, the Headringer would be the icing on the cake at this point. I think he's going to go for another Shaymin.
Oh yeah, he's got to go for the Shaymin, draw a few more cards.
That's so crazy.
But the thing about that, he doesn't need the Headringer. But if he doesn't hit the Headringer, Ollie's going to have the chance to, get the Quaking Punch off next turn. If he hits the Headringer, Ollie's not getting a Quaking Punch, because he can't get the Seismitoad out of the active under Trainer Lock.
Exactly, and it's almost a similar situation where the game is kind of done after even without any prizes being taken.
We're seeing, and this is exactly what happened last turn, except for the turn 1 gets this, which we thought was going to make a difference. Clearly, it's not made any difference.
To be fair, it was very, very fortunate that Alex did have that Jirachi in his hand.
Yeah, if he didn't have
the one Jirachi in his hand, I mean, he had the Ultra Ball, which went... I mean, if that Jirachi wasn't there, his hand would have been absolutely dead.
Key flip here. He's hit Tails on Sleep. That's horrific.
Oh my word! Quaking Punch, asleep. There is an out. Oliver does play AZ as well.
Indeed, so there is a possibility here that he hits the AZ for the... Oh,
the AZ! Oh, wow.
That is...
So, the tables have turned yet again. And although he can't play laser, he is now stopping Alex from using any of his item cards.
Yeah, and there's going to be no head ringer here.
Which is so huge,
huge. Alex has a full bench. So there's going to be no Shaymin here. Team Flare Grunt to get rid of the DCE.
Oh my word.
Now, it must be pointed out, both players are playing one Xerasic and one Team Flare Grunt, so not as many as we've seen in other Toad decks over the weekend, although these are two in the final, so we can probably call them the best two Toad decks, especially when they are...
Well, the best one Toad deck.
Yeah, because they're the same deck. But, you know, one Flare Grunt, one Xerasic, and Ollie there, he's got the DCE straight away.
He's not messing about. He's hungry for this win. He doesn't want to go down 2-0.
No, and it must be pointed out here, Alex Dao, with his thing in the final, Alex has basically cemented his place in top 22.
Oh, there's no way. It's not basically. Yeah. Definitely top 22.
Because if you're in... He was quite... You know, he was into it beforehand. If you're in top 22, the only way you can be jumped is a load of people doing well at Nationals and jumping you in Nationals points. But if you make the final of Nationals, nobody's getting more points from Nationals than you are.
Exactly.
So they can't jump you. So, interestingly here, Alex has a paid invite, win or lose. Ollie only has a paid invite if he wins. Again, I don't think it's been confirmed by the distributors, but I think we can assume it's going to happen. Now, I think it was Germany, Italy and the UK that were supposed to have paid trips, or Germany, there were a couple of other countries, and they have... Germany, France and the UK, and both Germany and France have confirmed that the winner have got a paid trip. So Ollie needs to get the win here in order to get the paid trip. Alex, he's one game up, he's in a slightly better position because he got the first Quaking Punch.
If you're Alex here, you're laughing, because either he's going to win Nationals, or he gets a paid trip, top 22, and doesn't have to play the first day of Worlds. Literally, those are two outcomes that are incredibly desirable. You can't lose with the outcomes that he's got right now. His options are...
He's playing for different wording on the trophy. I think they both get 2 boxes for the final. He's got the paid invite, win or lose. So he's paying for, essentially, a semi-finalist, a finalist or a champion trophy. That's all that's in it for Alex in this game. So the pressure's got to be off him.
I think, I think that he definitely wants that trophy because he's been playing a lot this year. I don't think I haven't seen him at a tournament.
He's been going for it. It's quite nice. He's a lovely chap. I like bumping into him. I bumped into him a lot this year. Yeah. He has played, and Ollie hasn't been to anywhere. He hasn't been to very many tournaments at all, which is why he's a good enough player to make the top 22.
Sure.
Oh, and he's had to burn a DCE there to get the draft chat.
So that's 2 in the discard, I believe. So
I think that is
correct.
Active.
So there's only 1 left in Ollie's deck. So that means.
Oh, and here comes Getsis.
Oh wow.
Oh,
that's everything, isn't it? Except the Verbank. Wow. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, those items... This could... I want Ollie to top deck a Shaymin here.
Oh, wow, that would be perfect.
If he top decks a Shaymin, then all of those trainers going away would actually turn into just a brilliant kind of fortuitous thing. That would be fantastic if that were to happen. Now, Alex can't get rid of that DCE. We saw in the initial turn, when he used the Drachty for the Juniper, he got rid of his Xerasic. We've seen him play his Team Flare Grunt. So we know that Ollie is not losing that DCE on the active. I don't think Ollie has played either of his yet.
No, I don't think he has. It's going to be interesting because what I've kind of noticed is both the first game and this game as well, Alex has gone a bit crazy with the Shaymins and the drawing cards very quick and filling up his bench.
Absolutely.
Whereas Oliver's had more of a conservative approach to it, I feel. I'm not sure if that's just the hands that have been dealt, but the impression that I've got is I think Ollie's trying to hang on for the late game and just dominate the field and wait till Alex is in a tough position that Oliver can really capitalise on. Because at this point it's pretty even.
Was that a double attachment? Am I seeing things? It might have just been a very, very quick turn from Ollie. Because we saw there Alex actually double attached to the active Toad and manually retreated. So he's now on... He's only got 1 DCE left. Oh, there's a Team Flare Grunt, so there must have been a trump card at some point. Yeah, there was a trump card a couple of turns ago. So, apologies for that. There was a trump card and the Xerasic were both in there. And,
oh, my word.
Yes, so there wasn't a double attachment. Ollie drew past very, very quickly. And this means that it's opened up to Alex to have a turn of trainers, and he's making the most of it. He plays a Team Flagrant to get rid of the DCE, immediately VS Seekers to get that back, and a Lysandra. And one of the key things here is Ollie's down to 1 DCE. Oh, no, because we had the trump card, so no, sorry, no, Ollie has got more DCE. But Alex is setting himself up beautifully for a situation where if Ollie puts down a DCE, even though he's got more to draw from his deck, it's going, and it's going quite fast.
Yeah, the worst thing to lose in your deck is the energy if you're playing this deck, I think.
Absolutely.
There's only 4 cards that let you attack, and if they're all in your discard pile, you better find that trump card quickly.
But Alex has also left himself in a vulnerable position. We saw the trump card come down a couple turns ago, and Alex has still got a fairly sizable deck. We know he's got 2 DC in a discard because he just manually retreated the Toad, and he's got 1 DC attached to the active. And you can see him trying to thin his deck here because he needs to thin his deck. If Ollie's able to draw into his Team Flagrant or his Xerasic and get rid of the DCE on the active Toad, Alex is going to have 1 DCE, assuming it isn't prized, in a fairly large deck. And he could well miss that turn after turn and give Ollie a route back into this game.
Well, if he doesn't draw it, you know, there's just lots of free attacks that Ollie can get off. I mean, I think he's going to have to let his Seismitoad be knocked out.
I mean, it's going down anyway. It's got, if I can see that correctly, it's got 150 damage on.
I think he's going to go for the Slurpuff here. Oh, his Slurpuff must be...
If a Slurpuff isn't prized, he's got to go for it here because he knows he needs the card advantage.
It's the only thing that he can really grab here that would be... Oh,
it
no,
must
be
prized.
Prized, clearly.
Well, I don't see any possible reason why you don't get it if it's not prized.
Sure. Yeah, for real.
Especially because, you know, he knows he's down to 1 DCE in the deck. He knows that Ollie plays those 2 cards. And we see a scoop up Cyclone to get that the Seismitoad completely healed. He knows that he's under threat of Ollie getting rid of that DCE, so he needs the extra card.
There's a trump card.
So another trump card. So now everyone's got all their DCEs back.
Yeah, there we go. Making sure that Ollie didn't shuffle in his trump card as well.
Now, one kind of... And I don't know if this is necessarily why Alex is doing it, but one really good function of that trump card is Ollie's got a really small hand and he's trainer locked.
Oh, so gross.
So by constantly playing the trump card, he's giving Ollie every single card in his deck.
Which is a lot of items. How many items do we have here?
Well, a huge amount of items. So he's basically just reducing the chances of Ollie drawing anything, which is going to help him get out. But again, small hand, if he top decks a Shaymin, he plays 4 of them. That's his only route out of here. The Jirachi's down on the bench, or an AZ. Top decking his AZ would also be. Oh, so Ollie took a chance there. He put the Shaymin, he put the Seismitoad active, and it was the right thing to do because he is absolutely screwed unless he gets something in the next couple of turns. He had to bench the Seismitoad on the off chance of hitting a DCE or something like a Shaymin that gets him the DCE. He whiffed it. Now we've got Laser, we might have Headringer, etc., etc.
All kinds of stuff's going to come down. Well, bear in mind there are I stand corrected. There are 33 item cards in each player's deck. So over half of both players' decks are item cards, which is insane. So trump carding followed by, you know, Quaking Punch with Seismitoad. The odds, and with a with a bad hand, Ollie's got a 50% chance of drawing dead each turn.
Absolutely, and we see the Headringer come down from Alex there, and honestly, I'm pretty much ready to call this one. I don't see how Ollie gets back from this. He's back in the position he was before. Now, well, no, sorry, I do see how Ollie gets in this. He's got to create a turn without trainer lock. That other Headringer's just coming down to waste a turn. I'd quite like to have seen him... Oh, no, I'd like to have seen him keep it in his hand just for another turn or two, on the off chance that Ollie benches another Seismitoad, because they know each other's decks. They know that the Headringers... There's only 2 Headringer. Ollie now knows there are no Headringers in Alex's deck, so Ollie can bench a second Seismitoad here, knowing it's not going to be Headringered, and then have it ready to promote when Alex kills the active Seismitoad.
I think Alex is just on the off chance, just being like, what if on the off chance Oliver has the AZ, draws the AZ, it's been shuffled back in now, and then puts DC on the Shaymin, brings it back to hand, and then draws an almost fresh hand next turn, because he's basically draw passing on he's very few cards in his hand.
Yeah.
So that may have been Alex's logic, which is pretty solid. Just stop the Sky Return from being a threat.
Ah, okay, yes, no, I see that, yeah. So that would stop the Sky Return threat.
It's just it's basically just limiting everything that Oliver can, just locking him out of the game at this point. I feel like Alex is already winning, and Ollie is going to need a lot of cards to be able to get. He needs a Seismitoad, he needs the AZ, he needs a DCE. He clearly doesn't have those cards, and he's only drawing one card per turn at the beginning of his turn, so
he's not going to get the AZ and the Toad and the DCE.
Oh, but we do see there is another Shaymin in Ollie's hand. But I don't know if it's actually going to do anything, really, because...
Unfortunately, he's drawn past for enough turns. He's now not got a tiny hand anymore.
Yeah, that's what I didn't realise that he'd been draw passing that much that his hand had actually gone up to 6 or more.
Initially, he had a very small hand, but after draw passing, and his hand is probably... Well, he's not been playing supporters
He's not
or
put
energy.
Shaymin down, so I assume it must be more than 6 now.
Yeah, and it's just his hand is clogged of items. I mean...
Look at Alex's smile. You can see that cheeky grin on his face there. That is...
we see the gets this.
I see. You notice this with a lot of players is when they're on a winning streak or in a favourable position, a lot of players will take a game a lot more casually with a lot more. I don't know. They're very happy to express the fact that they're winning. If you know what I mean, and especially if you're in a situation where you're just about to win nationals.
I mean, Alex, it looks like he's going to win nationals, and even if he doesn't win nationals,
he's still fine.
Yeah.
So you can't wipe the smile off his face no matter what you do.
He's got himself a paid invite to Worlds, couple boxes of a really good set. Is that? No, I want them to explain that afterwards.
The only thing I could see that would write this game off is just an irreversible game effect at this point.
Yeah, a Jake Wolvin, as you were.
Yes, yeah, I think that would be correct. But the caliber of these players, they are both very, very good. So I would not think that would happen at this level of play. And Alex has got too much on the line to play 2 supporters at this point. Probably get away with not playing any more supporters and be all right.
Well, the thing which I really like about
another trump card. Oh. Has Ollie got that trump card out of his deck?
No, he hasn't. He is just, and they've caught
straight away. Don't worry about it.
I think there are multiple judges there. It's a very, very easy, common mistake to make.
I didn't even realise when I first saw Lysander's trump card. I didn't even realise that both players' trump cards stayed out of their decks. I thought it was just the person that played it. Very surprised at that. But you know, it makes a lot more sense to stop all the decks getting constantly recycled, I guess. No,
absolutely. Now, the thing that I really like about Alex's setup here, he's got the second Toad with the energy, which means that even if Ollie would need the Xerosic and the Team Flagrant to run him out of energy. That's 2 turns worth of supporters. That's 2 turns in which Alex can draw another DCE to get himself going.
He needs a Juniper or something. He needs just... Oh man, it's really rough because the Slurpup's already out on Alex's side, which means that N hasn't got that strength that it had before.
No, and both players, I mean, they are playing N in their decks. Well, both players, they're the same list. But there is 1 N in the deck. And we see it gets this. This is going to help Ollie. He's got 3, 4, 5,
actually, Wilkes, he's got the
6,
Shaymin,
7.
has he not? Where's the Shaymin? Oh, he's got the AZ.
So, he's got the AZ.
And the Verbank. Those are the only cards that he... Oh, interesting.
So, actually... Now, let's not sit here and say, "Oh, this is amazing for Ollie," silly Alex.
He's still got. He's just shuffled in a load of trainers into his deck still, so they're still there. They're not.
Well, and Alex has just drawn 7 cards.
Yeah, that's
a pretty good get.
That's not bad, and he's got the Slurpuff on the bench. That's another card, and look at the size of sand. He doesn't even need anything at this point. Maybe putting down a muscle band, that would pretty much...
A muscle band on the second Toad would be pretty good. Essentially, all he needs is just to keep hold of cards which would allow him to, scoop ups and, cards to get rid of energy. That's literally it.
There we go. Come on, Ollie.
But what's he going to do? He's trainer locked. The Shaymin's not coming out of the active, save for a DCE or an AZ.
It's got to be a Sky Return this turn. That's the only thing he can really do.
It's got to be a Sky Return into a Seismitoad. That's the only option here. And even then, he's screwing...
And it's passed.
Now, a laser here, and Ollie loses coming out of his turn. Because we'll have 50 damage from the Quaking Punch.
Alex scooped up that Seismitoad. Any reason? Was there damage on it? There
was a little bit of damage on it.
I think he's just winning more now at this point. He just wants.
It is winning more. He doesn't. I mean, there's no point getting a Shaymin because what's the point? Now, if he had a Floatstone or a Switch, and I don't play cards like that, I would quite like to have seen him try and put the thingy in the act. Oh, and we see a Lysandra here for the Jirachi. This makes literally no difference.
It makes absolutely no difference, but it stops them from Sky returning.
Oh, no, firstly, I do apologise. First, it's also Sky returning, but also there was no laser played. So it's not a 2-hit KO on the Shaymin with no... And here we go. That's 50 damage on the Jirachi. Why is he playing an N?
Surely the game is over.
He can just Quaking Punch for 50 damage and win Nationals. He's your friend. Stop rubbing it in. He was on coach trip, you weren't. Get over it.
Man. It's nothing like a bad winner, is there? Sore winner. Sore winner, no.
I mean, the game, unless Alex chooses not to attack, this game is over. So congratulations to Alex, our new UK national champion. Both boys will be joining me on the couch in a moment. We're going to have a chat about the game and their lists and all that good stuff. Hopefully Alex is actually going to take the win here.
He might misplay. There's always that possibility.
And let's not forget my shameless plug. Make sure you check me out on Twitter at @TheWassy. Make sure that you check out my podcast, PTCGRadio. Google it, it's easy to find.
It's pretty good.
And subscribe to my YouTube channel because, why wouldn't you? It's this, but less Tom. And we see the win. So congratulations to Alex Dao and to Oliver Fennelly for getting that far. Thank you very much to Tom Hall for joining me here.
Pleasure.
And I am going to grab those chaps in for an interview to finish off our stream of today's Nationals. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just to finish off the stream today, we are joined by the new UK National Champion and the runner-up, Alex Dao and Oliver Fennelly. Alex, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been a long day.
Now, you seemed like a terrible person in the final turn where you played the end despite having the win. Redeem yourself, sir.
So I've been in the running for top 22 for a lot of the season. And the guy I've met in the final here is actually the person who got me into this game. And I've known him for 13 years. So coming second already secures my top 22, I hope. And by the final, I basically scooped so that he can have a flight and a hotel as well.
Very nice of him.
Absolutely. So what actually happened there was, officially, our national champion is actually Oliver Fennelly, not Alex Dao. And the reason is, as we talked about on the stream, Alex had his paid invite from top 22 anyway. Ollie didn't, so by giving Ollie the win, he gets the paid trip. And just so we're clear, there's nothing wrong with this. If Ollie were to have paid Alex for this, or colluded, or threatened, or anything like that, that would be bad. But just scooping to your mate in a game, we all know is something that you're allowed to do. Now, he hasn't threatened you, has he, Alex?
So far, I'm okay. I'm still alive.
Gonna get away with it.
Life is good. So talk us through the mirror then. I mean, both games went basically the same. Ollie, you went first, had a decent first turn. Alex, you went second, undid everything he did in turn one, and basically locked him down completely. Do you think it's better to go turn two, or would you rather go turn one with a gets this?
In this mirror, it seems... Basically, our testing has been with Tamal Cameron, who played a 59 card list with us. So he didn't have Getsis, whereas we both did. It's actually better to go second. Based on the scoop ups that we play, the AZ, as well as the Shaymins, you're basically just drawing through your deck. So if Oliver goes first, lasers, headringers, it doesn't really matter what I start with. As long as I have a Toad on bench, I could basically scoop up my active Pokemon, like you saw in Game 2 with Jirachi.
Yeah, so me and Tom were talking about that on the stream, that actually starting Jirachi in the mirror is really quite good. It's not going to get KO'd. It gets head-ringed, which is a complete waste of Ollie's head-ringer, and then you can just get it out the active and put Toad up. Whereas in the second game, where you started Toad and Ollie then head-ringed you then had to try and get rid of that head-ringer as part of your kind of first turn.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, with the amount of scoops that you play, you're bound to hit one. I mean, we had 3 super scoop ups on our list, right?
Yeah, and scoop up Cyclone and AZ.
Scoop up Cyclone, AZ, so we can Jirachi for an AZ, there's multiple outs. As long as we hit a DC, because as long as you go second, you get momentum, and it's really hard to break that momentum if you haven't Toad locked your opponent first.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it seemed to work out. So would the Gets This be more of a, well, if I have to go first, I'm going to Gets This?
Partly, yeah.
Because you chose to go first both games, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I just wanted to go for it because it's got me to the final.
Absolutely. So it's basically you're playing the way you've played all the way through the day, and it's worked out.
But this is an example of, I mean, both games I went first and Gets This both times.
No, second game you Gets This, first game
one
you
was
didn't.
prized.
Oh yeah. Okay, all right. Well, the game one shows that it doesn't. It's not the be all and end all.
No, absolutely not. And I say in game 2 you had a hell of a start, but in both games, when you get to the situation where there is a head ringer down and your trainer locked, it's basically game at that stage.
Done. Yeah.
He's coming through all right, isn't it?
Now, the big question is, you know, we go over to Worlds and you both now got your paid invites and you're both going to... you're both going to go to Worlds, you've both got your paid invites. I mean, Alex, you'll be going straight into day 2 of Worlds. You won't even have to bother with that day 1 rubbish. Ollie, I believe you will.
Yeah.
Is it Toad? Is there a good anti-Toad deck? Because judging by the tournament today, there's Toad and there's Trevenant. And it's basically trainer lock central.
Yeah, it's quite bad. I mean, especially playing as a Toad player playing against Trevenant, it's whoever wins the first flip.
Yeah.
Once they've got that first flip on Wally, you're kind of stuck because a lot of your playability of the whole deck is items. In terms of actually for Worlds, Toad's very boring.
It is. I mean, you've got to feel confident. You've just won a large, you know, competitive nationals with Toad. So you've got to feel pretty confident about your ability with Toad.
I feel like Toad. I've played Toad a few tournaments now. I won a regionals with Toad Slurpuff in Nottingham. I mean, I think it's a safe choice currently. You can't really go wrong with playing Toad. As long as you don't take it out too much, you play a consistent list, you make sure you get a turn 2 lock or turn 1 lock. It's a safe play. But I mean, we've still got so many tournaments to come up. We've got US Nats, which is always going to be a big following.
It's going to be very interesting to see how that turns out.
With this tournament being the first in the new format, play the strongest deck of the safest choice.
And well, I mean, you both played the strongest deck. You both, made a good choice, and it worked out pretty gosh darn nicely for you. Well, congratulations to you both today, and good luck for Worlds.
Cheers.
And thank you for talking to us.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, Ross.
And that will conclude our stream for this weekend. Thank you very much to anyone who listened and is still listening. And hopefully a lot of these videos, if not all of them, will be going up on my YouTube channel. So just search PTCGRadio on YouTube and you can rewatch some of this stuff. But don't worry, there's plenty of new stuff on that YouTube channel. And there'll be new stuff going up, all the time. So the stream is over, I'm afraid, but you can catch me there essentially whenever you want. Have a lovely day.